Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Millennial Trade. So we've got a few things we're going to cover in this video. We're going to talk about interest rates. We're going to talk about some of the data that came in today, inflation data from around the world. We had retail sales. I also want to talk about the target earnings and just how big this is for the market. And of course, we'll get a little bit into some of the esoteric. All right, I want to cover more about the black boxes, that a lot of these global elite scam artists always are talking about. A lot of companies are called black box, black rock, black cube. They sell us these black mirrors. So I want to talk a little bit more about that because, there's a lot of things that when it comes to finance, there's a lot of esoteric symbolism in the financial world, in the economy. And so I just want to highlight that a little bit more. And I think people were interested in it because I got a lot of feedback in the comment section. You guys seem to, enjoy that. That being said, I took a small scalp this morning on PayPal. I was bearish at the open, but again, I didn't want to stick around too long because I wasn't sure how the inflation data from the UK and Canada was going to affect our market, and I just kind of wanted to sit it out. So I took a quick scalp, made about $350, and I was out. I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to trade anymore today. I could have gotten more out of that trade, but I'm not upset about it. I'm not thinking about it. I was actually wrong when I was kind of bullish a couple of days ago. I was thinking we were going to continue higher just because I thought there was, a lot of momentum. But the market has been pulling back the past couple of days. NASDAQ, SPY, both down. But the moves are incredible. The volatility has been incredible. We kind of had a slower drawback today. I mean, even on the fintech stocks, they were just kind of slowly drawing back. It wasn't anything super crazy. But they even tried to come up at one point and then came right back down. So, this is the bear market. We had these huge rallies. We had these huge gap ups. There's so much, economic information, geopolitical information that's coming out on the daily. I mean, we had the missiles that had struck Poland yesterday. For a minute, I thought it was going to be World War III, but thank God that did not happen. It looks like Ukraine, this is what Biden said, that Ukraine likely shot missiles into Poland. For what reason? Who knows? But that Zelensky guy, he is, I swear, this guy posts more on social media than I do. Every single time I open up my Instagram app, he's got another video out. He's working hard, man. He's working really hard. And he's got a lot of clout. You can see it's paying off. He's meeting with all kinds of people. He's getting financial support from every Western nation on earth. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the markets here. Enough of the geopolitics. So, U.S. retail sales up 3% month over month. Cars were up 1.3%, which is pretty huge. In gas sales, of course, because of the new car sales, up 4.1%. So I was thinking this was going to be really great for the markets. It looked like the markets, I guess, maybe in the pre-market was a little excited about these numbers, but then we had UK inflation data that came out, 11.1%. All right, their estimates were like 10.7, and UK's inflation came in at over 11%. Is it a sign of more instability with the currencies? Is that a sign that maybe we could be looking at, 10% plus inflation rates? It's very scary to think about. The UK has got a lot of monetary and fiscal issues right now. So, there's that. But, is this something that has to do with the currency wars, right? The rise of the dollar in recent months, kind of pushing some of these other currencies and economies down. Canada's inflation rate is steady at 6.9%. Let's see what they said about Canada's inflation rate here. Their annual inflation rate was 6.9%, remaining unchanged from the prior month. So, is that a sign that Canada has peaked, or is this just a pause? And I think we all need to be considering that it's possible that this isn't the peak. We keep hearing about the peak inflation. Well, if you look at the inflation rates, right? Well, if they can't just go straight up. They have to kind of draw down a little bit. So is this just a drawback? Is this a pullback? And it wasn't even really a pullback. It was if you look at it on the chart, we really didn't pull back our inflation rate, right? Even our PPI and CPI, we're still elevated, just not at the rate that we were last month. But then the UK comes here and blows it out of the water with 11.1% inflation rates. I'm trying to see what they're blaming on that. It's the highest inflation rate since October of 1981 in the UK, with main upward pressure coming from housing and household services, up 26% versus 20%. Oh my gosh. You had gas up 129%. And that's the thing, this energy issue in Europe, it's looking like the global elite want Russia and Ukraine to come to some sort of, because if they didn't, you would think they would just, push this FF event that we saw yesterday and try to, drag us into some sort of escalation, but they haven't done that yet. And they came out real quickly. Even NATO was one of the first organizations to say, no, we don't think this was a Russian missile. And then Biden had to come out and say, yeah, it was actually, it was a Ukrainian missile. You really can't make this stuff up. How did a Ukrainian missile end up killing 2 people in Poland? Very odd. It's very odd. Going back to the United States, industrial production month over month decreased by 0.1% unexpectedly. So, let's look at a couple of these things here. You have the industrial production decreasing. All right, not necessarily good. You also have the 30-year mortgage rates. All right, they are at 5-week lows. So they've pulled back a little bit. And remember, the mortgage rates are really attuned to like where the interest rates are. It's like where the interest rates are, it really affects the mortgage rates. So, the fact that it fell by 24 basis points to 6.9%, this past week, the biggest decline since the last week of July, pushing borrowing costs to the lowest in 5 weeks. Well, it's the lowest in 5 weeks. If the Federal Reserve comes out with another 75 basis point rate hike or even a 50 basis point rate hike, you can bet that this is just a pullback on these fixed mortgage rates. We had crude down more than 2% today to $85 a barrel. And this is good. We want to see the commodities come down. Silver was down a little bit. Copper down about 2%. Soybeans down about 2%. Wheat down 1.3%. Gold and silver kind of hanging on to their most recent gains, but I think those, when I'm looking at the gold chart right here, I think it's possible we're going to see this baby come right back down to, maybe even past 1650, maybe like 1600, 1550, who knows, right? Some people are calling for 1400. I'm calling for 5K Bitcoin. That's all I know. I'm not buying a single fucking Bitcoin shitcoin until Bitcoin is at 5 fucking K. How about that? How about that, crypto bulls? No, I'm teasing a little bit here. So I want to talk about the Federal Reserve because, the political drama, it's fun, but the Federal Reserve is really what affects the economy, and the economy affects the politics. And, a lot of people just think, they think Trump or Biden is in control of how we're doing economically, and that's not exactly true. They get the blame for it because they're the face of the United States, when they're president. But it's really the Fed. Now, Daly from the Fed, all right, what was her first name? It's the Fed president in San Francisco, right? This person basically says that, rates will be rising at least another percentage point is what the San Francisco Fed president said. And that a pausing or some sort of pivot or anything like that is off the table. And this came out 4 hours ago, right? This is the Federal Reserve in San Francisco saying this to us. So they're telling us that, Jerome Powell, Mary Daly, that's what her name is, Mary Daly, this, Fed ghoul, is basically telling us that Jerome Powell is not going to pause. He's not going to pivot. I don't know what people exactly are expecting. Of course, we don't know what they're going to do, but for the simple fact that this is like one big giant satanic experiment for the central banks, I think they want to see what happens if they keep raising the interest rates. And, there's an esoteric thing behind this as well, because you have from Bloomberg 21 hours ago, what if the Fed has to take rates up to 6%? What if? What if the Fed has to take it to 6.6%? Or how about even better, 6.66%? What if? What will happen? These are the kind of headlines that we're seeing, and don't think that I don't see this stuff. Don't think that I am not paying attention to the the esoteric nature of the Federal Reserve, the central banking system, and all of their cronies. I had another headline here, but I can't see. I don't know if I clicked out of it or what. I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. Please do give the video a big thumbs up and comment down below. I appreciate hearing back from all of you guys. Oh yeah, household debt soars. Yeah, so we're talking about the Federal Reserve and the interest rates, right? And at the same time, you have debt in America, well, debt everywhere, just ballooning out of control. Consumer debt, corporate debt, personal debt, but with the interest rates, right, it makes the cost of money extremely high. So you have household debt soaring at fastest pace in 15 years as credit card use surges, a Fed report says. That's from CNBC. This is from this is from Liberty Street Economics, but they say balances are on the rise. So who is taking on more credit card debt? I know for one thing, this guy isn't, right? I've got some credit builder things that a credit builder program in my account, in my bank account that I'm working on. I do have a small credit card, but I'm all paid off. I am not in any type of credit card debt like that. So, and then another thing with the Fed, right? Here's another esoteric headline. Banking giants and New York Fed start a, wait for it, guess the number. It's not 6, but it's close. 12-week digital dollar pilot. I mean, this is crazy, guys. Banking giants and New York Fed start a 12-week digital dollar pilot. And this is from Reuters, all right? Global banking giants are starting a 12-week, and why 12, right? Well, what's 12 divided by 2? You figure it out. They're starting a 12-week digital dollar pilot with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The participants announced on Tuesday, and I'm sure, Tuesday, isn't that, Tuesday is, I forget where we get that word for. I know Thursday is Thor's Day, Monday is Moon Day, Sunday is obviously the solar day, the God day, Moon Day, Tuesday. I forget where we get Tuesday from, but there's probably an esoteric meaning behind the fact that they announced it on Tuesday. But very, very strange. And remember, we talked about the Fed yesterday. They're meeting behind closed doors with the banking elite. Remember, we read that yesterday. So they're definitely conspiring. When we talk about the esoteric, right, the numbers, the symbolism. I know we discussed with Sam Bankman-Fried and the whole FTX fallout, the black boxes, right? Where does all this come from? Well, it comes from the mysticism. It comes from the mythology. It probably comes from like religious and spiritual aspects of the people who, control the monetary system. And so, when Sam Bankman-Fried talks about a black box that basically just takes everybody's money. Well, he's talking, this is like a Dybbuk box, basically. This is some sort of spirit, some sort of entity that just sort of sucked up everybody's money and funneled it to Democratic primary campaigns and also Joe Biden's presidential campaign. Sam Bankman-Fried is Joe Biden's second biggest donor, but I'll get into the politics later. When you look into the mysticism behind the banking world, right? Look at the dollar. You have the esoteric symbols on the back of the dollar. In this mythology, you have everything from demons to Dybbuks, ghosts, golems. Everybody's heard of a golem or a golem. Some sort of entity, a creature that's maybe made out of like stone or something and comes to life. Is it a coincidence that a lot of these companies are named like Black Cube, right? BlackRock. BlackRock is the biggest asset manager in the world, and they're buying up like tons of homes in the United States, basically forcing Americans out of their homes. Not a good thing. And they push a lot of propaganda. If you go to the Instagram for BlackRock, I mean, there's so much like lefty, corporate globalist propaganda on this Instagram page, on BlackRock's Instagram page. It makes them look corny. I mean, truly, it does. Then you have Black Cube, right, based in London and Tel Aviv and Madrid. This was the corporation, the private label intelligence agency that Harvey Weinstein was actually hiring to harass his victims who were trying to come out against him. And this is allowed. The elite are allowed to use these organizations to harass their opponents, right? Then we talk about the show Black Mirror, right? Black Mirror is all about like technology and, does it benefit us or does technology actually, and there's some kind of like gnat or something in this room. Black Mirror, the TV show, is about, basically asking the question, does technology benefit us or is it a curse? There's a lot of, I like that show, I do. But the Black Mirror itself is extremely esoteric. Right? I mean, it's from the 16th century English mystics, the magic mirror, right? Which maybe this is where you get the magic mirror from Snow White. But the Aztecs actually looked into like maybe black onyx or something like that and would scry. I even have some sort of article. Oh yeah, this is a book called The Art of Black Mirror Scrying. And in the description it says the Black Mirror is a powerful divination and visioning tool, right? And if you think about what Sam Bankman-Fried was doing, it was divination, right? He was, he had all these visions, right? Delusions of grandeur that many other people got swept up in. But again, describing this black box, basically just this thing that just, takes and magically gives back somehow, right? This is literally what he was describing, but it's it goes much deeper than just the finances of it all, right? Are these like curses or hexes? Is this a form of divination or magic that is being wielded in the financial markets at the expense of, everyday investors like you and me? Look into Tefillin, right? Tefillin. I'm not going to get into this too deeply here, but just look at the Teflon boxes, right? They're these little leather boxes. They're black boxes made of black leather, So you guys can figure this out. You can put some of this together. I'll give you another example of the financial elite, or a hedge fund manager who is extremely aware of the esoteric and promotes the esoteric. Okay, and this guy's name is Chris Cole. All right, he runs Artemis Capital, right? Of course, Artemis Capital, and I think that's like an ancient Greek god or something. And he has something called the Dragon Portfolio, but he also uses the Ouroboros. All right, look up Chris Cole Ouroboros, or like Chris Cole discussing the snake eating its own tail, and he's using the Ouroboros as a symbol to explain what's going on with the Federal Reserve and the money printing and the corporate debt and the zombie corporations, right? He explains that it's like a snake eating its own tail. And, he's got like hawks and serpents and dragons and griffins, all kinds of symbolism in his papers. If you read Chris Cole's papers, all right, he writes about everything from portfolio management to inflation and market history. He writes about everything, but he always has the esoteric symbolism, right? That is very ancient. I mean, this is very ancient stuff. It goes back to some of the first civilizations. I mean, look at the back of the dollar. It has the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. What is that? That's basically, the ancient Egypt with the pyramids. The all-seeing eye is Horus, right? The eye of Horus. That's where that comes from. So a lot of people in finance, they don't talk about this kind of stuff. And I don't know why, because it's obvious that they're using this stuff in a modern context, right? They're using the symbols and the magic and the mysticism and the divination and the straight up, satanic experiment. They're using all of this in a modern context. And I think it's important to talk about. So let's see where we're at. 19 minutes here. This video is not going to be too long, all right? Let's go ahead and get into a couple of other items here, like Elon Musk threatening to fire employees who won't be extremely hardcore. And here's the thing. This could be an opportunity of a lifetime for somebody who, like an Elon Musk fanboy whose dream it is to work for Elon Musk and slave for him, 16 hours a day. If you were willing to, I'm sure Elon Musk will probably hire people. If you're brilliant and you're willing to slave for him like 16 hours a day, you could probably get a job at Twitter right now. I mean, think about it. This could be an opportunity for some very hungry people that want to, move to Silicon Valley and maybe restructure the big tech, hierarchy a little bit, politically speaking. Speaking of politics, Trump came out and announced his candidacy last night. We're going to see how this plays out. I think it was a fairly strong speech myself. I was actually surprised how much the content of his speech was about unifying the country, about bringing people from all walks of life, and talking about all the different people that backed him in the first time around, and all of the things that he accomplished. I mean, if you look at the stock market, right? Because we're all here for finances. We want to make money. The stock market, while Trump was president, had a 124% gain in 4 years. I mean, that's probably a record, actually. So he obviously knows what he's doing with the economy. He had a way to influence the Fed as well. The Fed kept those interest rates low, probably because Trump wanted them to. We know they met. We know Trump was harassing Powell almost on a daily to go into negative interest rates. So, they listened to him. It appears that way. Nobody listens to Biden. And I'm not saying, the stock market and the economy is all Biden's fault, but Biden reversed a lot of Trump's policies that, like the corporate tax cuts, for instance. Trump cutting corporate taxes by 14%, which was a historic move. And even though big tech benefited from that, but they don't really like him, they benefited, in the tune of billions and trillions of dollars. I mean, it's amazing these corporations campaign against him, but we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. But, these are all accomplishments that were done under that administration. And we shouldn't forget about that, right? We should not forget about that. And I think that, with Ron DeSantis, I mean, obviously he's a great governor, but on a national level, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure he has anything on Trump, but we'll see how this plays out. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Give the video a like. Follow me on Instagram @MillennialTrades. And as always, until next time, I'll see you on the next video.